actually have a handy tip. This is going to be a useful video. And so let's say you've got, pretend that you don't see this right here, very thin bow, right? You could certainly just use it. But in the case of this one, it is now as consistent as you can get with a sinew-backed bow. 50 pounds at 26 inches of draw. So it worked out. Very, very thin. It would have been thicker and still had the same advantage of the Osage if I used mulberry. Mulberry shares a lot of the characteristics of Osage, however, it is a little less stiff. So this would have been a thicker bow, but would the handle have been thicker to be noticeable? Probably not so much. Thin as thin. And so I wind up, this is such a cool material. This is cork. This is cork gasket material you can get from Auto Supply, probably, a hardware store. I bought this at Ace. And I just simply cut it into strips. As I progress in the stacking, though, you can see that they get a little bit narrower. They definitely get shorter because I wanted to get a start in the rounding. And in this case, I used 2, 2, 2. Reversed it, on the bottom. So that'll give me enough material to sculpt handle inserts with 120 grip or 120 grit. And I really like this. This is a rubbery, you've seen it before. Actually, sand dust eraser for sandpaper. So I will shape this with this. Now, one note is, in the past on bows, I've used white cedar and shaped these things. Not flexible. I've used leather, thick leather, and glued them up and then sand them. But I actually really like the cork material. It's easier to sand and sculpt than leather, sandpaper and leather. But with leather, it shares the ability. You see how that form fits around there? When I was gluing it up with Tight Bond 3 and laminating them before they were dry, squished them with gauze, and it forces the laminations to stay. Let me just slide this one out here. Stay shaped to that back. And this is important. Back, and that K stands for the knot. So this one will be oriented on the back according to the knot. Now they shape real easy with 120 grit. And it's no big problem. And over these things will be leather hand wrap. And it's not going to be secured. Because Hugh is going to take this bow, remove buckskin hand wrap in these inserts, which will be sanded down the shape. It'll be very pleasing, very comfortable, and somewhat shock absorbing, because boom, bends through the hand a little bit, and you feel it when you shoot it. Not much. There's not much hand shock with this thing. But, this, along with the hand wrap, will act like shock absorbers. So that is that. Just gasket material, and I use a straight edge on my workbench to cut the strips. A razor blade. That's it. Now, there's an interesting note on this bow. If you were to look at it and really study it, now I'm looking at the widths. I see nice taper, and it follows the ginks and stuff like that. But if you look at certain aspects of it, it's like, why would I have made it thinner on this side than I did on this side? It's thinner on this side than it is on this side. Was I drinking when I made the bow? And it's a little thinner on this side than it is on this side. Did that to compensate for the bow tips kind of going off in space on both sides. This one really, wang! Which really pushes the torsional stability of these things. Torsion would be the rotational force, right? And it's recurved. If it was just non-recurve, just a D-bow, it wouldn't be a thing. But with recurves, you're adding leverage to twist those limbs when they go off in space. And so I actually had to thin one side more than the other to create an unbalanced resistance to torsion along with tillering. And so, yeah, now I had the benefit with these limbs going off this, and if I had the recurve that was a very deep one where you pull it back and then it releases and then the string lays along the center, forget it. I wouldn't handle it. I suppose it's possible, but that would be, especially with narrow tips, having limbs that go all over the place and a deep recurve, no. No, not going to do it. Not going to attempt it. Whereas these things, when they are braced, and this prevents, and I'm going to say it, you know, recurves can be problematic because there's nothing worse than you release it and the string goes like this and it goes backwards, if not everything is perfect, especially with these weird limbs. And so when it's braced, it's like this. So there's no possibility of that, and then the string will stay in the center of the grooves. And I could even make the grooves just slightly deeper because this thing, when you string it and unstring it, you can possibly twist the limbs. It's recurved. The limbs are not straight. When I'm looking at it, I actually had to knock the tips out of alignment a little bit, clamping them down and hitting them with a heat gun after it was sinew-backed, you know, to make sure that this stuff would never happen. But yeah, cutting them a little deeper so they're in the center. Having them so the brace is like this and not following the curve. Thinning them differentially from this side to that side. Yeah. Yeah. It's a cool bow. Shoots well. Can draw it back 26 inches. It's 59.5 inches tip to tip. Knock off 2 inches because of where the knocks are. Add to that 26 inches of draw. Add to that, this is the same as it was before I started. I didn't go crazy with I didn't want to wang with the reflex because this is a short bow. When I look at it, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I draw it back to 26 inches, which is pretty close to a full 28-inch draw in this tight recurved package, and the recurves even amplify that. Yeah, yes, sir. So I'm glad that I made it to this stage. After I get these things shaped, after I get my leather hand wrap on it, then it's time to make a new string, because I've been shooting it with this old tillering string that's just about to break, right? Make a new string. Then it's time to shoot it a bunch. He wanted to ask me about payment, and it's like, until it's a finished bow, I don't want to see a cent. But yeah, this is going to get the full treatment, a lot of testing, a bit of abuse. Yep. And that is my handy tip of the day. And this is also a built up with cork. I think I use the same 6 layers on this. Been having fun with this. I even marked it. Yes, sir, Bob. Okay. That is all I have to... Oh, I'll say one more thing. These clunk tips that you can see have the dished out surface. It's like, it makes it look better. It's not as plain there. But you know what? It also serves a purpose when I'm stringing it. It gives me a better purchase, because I set that on the ground, then I put my knee in the dead center, and I'm basically holding it like this when I lean back to string it. Actually having those little dished out surfaces there gives me a little bit more purchase, a little surer grip on that. Because I like to get right at the tip. That bottom tip's on the ground, this tip is in my hand. Even pressure, which, you know, I don't need to get that critical on this, but it's kind of cool having like a better grip on that tip when I'm stringing it on and de-stringing it. Yep. Now I'm done.